Hey folks, Shawn over at the Annuity Expert. In today's video, I'm going to go over my parents' story and tell you basically how annuities saved their retirement. Uh, so I want to take you back to the early 2000s. Well, I'll take you back to the 90s. So in the 90s, my parents, my stepdad worked in the construction business. And building churches and schools and stuff like that in the 90s and in the early 2000s, pre 9/11. And then my mom was a project manager for some government contractors. And 9/11 happened, and they decided that they were going to start getting into the housing market. I mean, a lot of people did that, in the early 2000s. They would buy property and sell it, and they were going to make a profit. My parents, they specifically did Section 8 housing, okay? And they were like, hey, if we can get somebody in here, we're going to get a paycheck from the government every month. And so they bought all these properties, fixed them up, and then they would have it rented, okay? And that was, I'd say 2002, 2003 till the bubble, okay? And at one point, they had 28 properties that they managed. This was going to be their retirement plan. Build this up, the value will go up, and they'll sell it in the future. Okay. Well, we all know what happened in 2008, 2009, people defaulted on their loans. They also people who were in normal houses, non-Section 8 housing. There was so much desperation to pay their mortgage, which they couldn't because it was a variable mortgage. And, it increased, right, to where it was unaffordable, that they were letting anybody rent those houses. So the folks that were going into Section 8 houses, which usually isn't the best housing, they were now moving out, and they were going into normal houses and renting. And people were renting to people with normal homes, non-Section 8 homes, we'll say that. Not normal is not the right word. Non-Section 8 housing were renting to Section 8 people, okay? And they just got into a position where they had to default on all their loans. They had to sell all their properties. They just lost them. Basically, they lost their retirement dream. So I give you that context on what led to the annuity story, okay? So they made a huge mistake, and they ended up going back and doing some work. My mom ended up working for a church, and my stepdad went back to doing some construction work. Well, he was doing chief engineer work down at Cocoa Beach at some resorts and hotels. Okay, so they did that in the 2010s, and so at some point we were like, okay, well, what do you have left in your retirement? And they're like, we really just have these small old pensions and old 401ks. I mean, it was 30,000 here, 40,000 here, 80,000 here. I mean, my stepdad had 80, 90,000 with a pension from the railroad from the 70s that he still had to claim. And so we were able to. This was the beauty of the annuity, because you can know what your future income is up front. So meaning if you want to know how much your current savings would equate to in 7 years from now, you can know that today by using an annuity, because everything's based on contractual guarantees, right? At least the good annuities are, right? There's some performance-based annuities out there that are garbage. But the contractual guaranteed annuities, they knew. So because we had that intel, we were able to sit down, take a look at their Social Security, and look at the annuities, piece them together, basically like sewing a quilt. And then we knew that they were going to leave Florida, so they sold their house. And by the sale of their house and piecing these annuities together, what ultimately happened was my mom, the deal was my mom had to retire at age 70. So no matter what, she had to work to 70. and start collecting Social Security. My stepdad had to wait until 66 and a half. Okay. If they did that, if they just did that, they were going to be okay. We thought we were going to get them between $6,000 and $7,000, okay, a month. So for having not much, $6,000 to $7,000 a month for the rest of their life, it might have been 7,000 to 8,000. No, it was 6 to 7 at first, and then we found some other accounts, and it bumped them up between $7,000 and $8,000. Okay, so COVID happens. Everyone starts buying. They lowered the interest rates. Everyone was buying homes, refinancing their mortgages, all this stuff. So I was like, hey, you got to sell your house. If you're going to sell it, you need to sell it now. And we live here in Atlanta. They lived in Florida. We had our daughter. My mom wanted to leave Florida and be closer to her daughter and move up here to the Atlanta area. Okay. And so they're like, hey, sell your house now. Well, they finally sold their house. My stepdad did that begrudgingly, and he did it. And there was a small window, and because he missed that window because he was dragging his feet. And Gary, if you're listening to this, sorry. Because he was dragging his feet, I mean, they probably lost $75,000 to $100,000 or more on their sale because they waited so long to get it fixed up and put it on the market. In reality, is they could have just sold the land because it was on an intercoastal where two sides of the house was on water. Anyways. So then COVID happens. And then COVID happens. My stepdad gets a wild hair up his ass that, hey, I think we're going to take the proceeds. They had already bought the annuity. And I think we're going to sell that annuity or cash it in, and we're going to go buy an RV. And I went ballistic. I mean, I literally told him to lose my phone number. I was like, I do not, you guys aren't going to make a stupid ass mistake again and ruin your future because you want to go buy an RV. Because RVs was big in COVID, right? Because people were wanting to travel around the States and they were just cooped up in their house. Anyway, it was a big drag out fight. Okay. Well, after a couple of days, it calmed down. I was furious. I don't think I had been this angry at them in my life. Because they were considering taking the little savings they had and ruining the retirement plan and buying some sort of RV. Anyways, a couple of days later, I calmed down. I get on the phone with them, and I said to my mom, I said, hey, you like traveling, you like going to Europe, you like going to these countries. Well, instead of being an idiot and buying an RV, why don't you stick to the plan and go to the states or the countries you want to go visit while you're alive? And instead of being a tourist, stay there for a month or so and live within the culture. And then this way, you're still getting that contractually guaranteed income each month that you can count on, and you could go travel the world. Well, that sparked inspired her. She's like, man, that's a good idea. Fast forward to today. So anyway, they started their income, and because there was a significant bump in Social Security during COVID, I think I just found out they're getting between $8,000 and $9,000 a month. Annuities help them. Oh, and also they started their annuities in a higher interest rate environment, so they got higher payouts. And so where we initially were trying to piece together $6,000 to $7,000 a month, that was their goal. They're getting between $8,000 and $9,000 a month. I mean, that's pretty good, right? Seeing that you lost everything in the real estate bubble in the 2000s, and so now they're fast forward to today. They just completed year 3 of their travels, and what they do is the first year they traveled all over Europe. I mean, we're talking Croatia, Romania, Spain, Portugal. I don't know if they did Portugal. They're doing Portugal this year. They didn't do Portugal. They did Spain. They went to Ireland. They went to England, and they found a gig where they pet sit. So now, Europeans they like to travel for months at a time. And well, if you have a pet, you need somebody to watch it, right? Well, the deal with the pet sitting is they go and stay at the house for a month for free, and they have to watch the pets. And it's like a word of mouth referral system. And so now they're able to travel most of Europe. They did that in 3 years ago. And then the second year, they did what they missed in the first year. And then last year, they got a wild hair up their ass, and they went to Asia. And they did Thailand, they did Vietnam, they did, I think they did Malaysia, and they did that for 9 months out of the year. And they're living their best lives. I'm so proud of them because they're doing more than what I thought they would do. You know, a little more context, a little peek in their world. When my wife was pregnant with my daughter, I took my mom to Italy for her dream trip because my stepdad was too nervous to go do it on their own, and because I'd been there 4 or 5 times before, because my dad and my stepmom lived there in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was like, hey, I'll take you. I've got this window at the end of the year. I'll take you and check it out. So when I took her, she realized, like, hey, traveling to Europe's easy. It feels safer. There's less crime. It's easy to get around. And so they took the ball and ran with it. And if they died tomorrow, or they were on their deathbed tomorrow, they would be able to look back at knowing that they lived their lives in retirement like they were supposed to. And along the way, they're still getting that same paycheck each and every month. So we were able to really make a mountain out of a molehill using annuities. And so if you're one of these folks who are listening to this and you're not hyper wealthy and you think that you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck, you should really consider looking at an annuity because you're already going to be withdrawing money from your retirement accounts anyway. Why not put some sort of insurance on it to make sure that even when the accounts are spent down to zero, you still get that same paycheck until the day that you die, right? So if you can relate to making financial mistakes like that, and you're trying to make up for lost time, and you're trying to just fix the situation to the best of your ability, contact us at the Annuity Expert. We would do our best to get you the most income in the best scenario to start your retirement income, so that you can, you worked your whole life to retire and to be comfortable and not worry about money and not worry about living paycheck to paycheck. And in my opinion, annuities do the absolute best job of delivering that outcome. And then you don't have to worry about it. You continue to earn a paycheck as if you were still working, and you can go live your life without having to worry about running out of money. So anyways, I hope that's my story. Got any questions or any comments, leave it below. And we'll catch you on the next video. See ya.